everybody, and welcome to another Cricut Craft tutorial. Don't forget that you can sign up for my free newsletter at CorinneBlackstone.com. In today's video, I'm going to show you guys how to make these really fun photo word keychains. These make a great last minute gift for anybody. You can do all sorts of fun words with these. These would be fun for a graduate as well. And they're really easy. You just need a few supplies. You're going to need felt, or you can use faux leather, some cardstock, and either clear vinyl or a laminate would be great to use on the photo portion. I used some HTV, and then you'll need some keychain hardware, and then you can always add little embellishments. So let's go over to Cricut Design Space. I'm going to show you how to do the two different styles. I'm going to show you guys two different ways to do this mom keychain. It's really, really fun and pretty easy, and it's something that you can knock out before Mother's Day, which is always a bonus, especially if you accidentally forgot. We won't call out anybody by name. But what we're going to do first is we're going to go ahead and start with a text, and the only letter that I need is one letter M. Now, I played around with a bunch of fonts, so you can play around with any font that you want, but the font that I found worked best for me was one called Corbel. And that one, I believe, is automatically on your computer, so you should have it. But it was really a thin font. It looked pretty nice, and it worked well for resizing it and kind of stretching it a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and set that off to the side really quick because I just like to type out that text really quick so we don't forget. The next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to open up a shape, and I'm going to open up a square. Now, we are going to use the Cricut offset feature because I'm going to show you guys how to get a rounded corner square or rectangle or whatever you want by using the offset feature. So I'm just going to leave my square normal size, and all I'm going to do is click offset. Make sure that rounded corners is selected, and it doesn't matter what size you have your offset set to, just click apply. Then move the gray square off, and you have a rounded corner square. Now you can use the offset to size your rounded cornered square any way that you want to. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this pretty big right now so that we can see it. It just makes it a little easier, and I'm going to move my M off to the side, and I'm going to go ahead and change the color of this really quick so it's easy to see. So this is the first piece that we need, and we are going to need two of these. So go ahead and click duplicate. Just move them apart from each other. We're also going to need a circle, so go ahead and open a circle, and I'm going to make it a different color for now just so we can see it against these two. What I want to do is note how tall this square rectangle is, and it's 4.861. So what I'm going to do is change my circle to 4.861. Now it's going to look really, really big right now, but don't worry, we're going to kind of put it inside these little rectangles a little bit. You'll still be able to tell that it's an O, but it's going to look a little bit less large. So once you kind of get it about where you want it, it doesn't have to be perfect. I'm going to select all three of these items, go to align, and I want to align the tops. That looks pretty good. I can definitely visualize what I'm looking for. So I'm going to go ahead and weld these. This is going to be the background to our keychain. Now we can bring in our letter M, and you can see that it kind of goes behind our background. If it's doing that, all you need to do is click on your background and click Send to Back. Now I want to take my M, and I'm going to unlock it by using this little unlock button down here in the lower left-hand corner. I'm going to go ahead and stretch her out and make her however big I want it. You can kind of do whatever you like and what looks good to you. There's no right or wrong size to make the M. I think that looks pretty good, so all I'm going to do now is duplicate. You need two of them, so you might as well only make one, and then you don't have to worry about sizing. They'll be sized the same. Go ahead and put that over in the other square. Now we do need to make a little circle for our O, so what I'm going to do is just open another circle. And this will take a couple of circles to do it the way that I'm going to do it. But again, you can kind of do whatever you want. So what I'm going to do is size this circle out a bit. Once you have the circle sized, and I want to size it a little bit smaller, I think, because the outside of the circle is going to actually be the black part. So you don't want it to touch the M's. You just want it to kind of be around the M's, if that makes sense. And I'm going to duplicate this gray circle. I'm going to make the other one smaller. So I'm going to make an inside circle smaller. And then I want to kind of try to match how thick these are, but it doesn't matter if it's not quite the same thickness. That looks pretty good, I think. So what I want to do is select both of my gray circles. I'm going to align and center them, and then I need to slice them out because we only need the outside of the one circle. So you'll see we have the outside portion here. I'm going to select it over in my layers panel and change it to black. And that'll show you guys what it's going to look like when you have the mom written out. I think that looks pretty good. I like the circle being a little bit smaller, but like if you don't love that, you can kind of play with it and figure out what looks best to you. It's all up to you and the way you want to do your design. Now I'm going to show you here, if you hide both of these, you still have the center here, which we don't want. So go ahead and open one of those circles back up, the gray ones, select it on the layers tab and select the purple and click slice again. Now it's going to hide the mom and that's okay, but so what we're going to do is go ahead and pull the gray square circle out. We don't need it. We have another gray circle that we still don't need, so we can delete it. And we also don't need the purple circle, so delete that. Now right click and send to back for the mom portion, for the background. There's pretty much your keychain, but we'll need to do a couple more things to finish this off. I'm selecting all of my black pieces and I'm going to weld them. And then we want this to be two-sided so that we don't have a blank side on the other side, and we're going to have two pictures on this. So I'm going to show you guys how to do that. Let's go ahead and size our keychain down quite a bit, and we'll still need to size it a little bit more because we're going to have to play with this a bit, but it's pretty easy. So what I want to do now is I'm going to go ahead and select this entire thing and duplicate. You can put mom on both sides if you want. You don't have to. It's up to you. But I think that looks pretty good. So what I'm going to do is get a shape, and I'm going to use a square. And what we'll do is unlock the square, the lower left-hand corner, and slide it so that it's pretty thin and pretty thin. Here we go. Okay. So you want to make sure that you have enough in the middle here that it's not going to break and that you can kind of fold it over on itself. So what I'll do now is select all the purple pieces and our newly acquired square and weld those. You'll see now that you have two sides that you'll be able to fold over on each other. I'm going to go ahead and pull this down so it's again under the moms because we will need to size this a little bit more. If you have a longer piece of faux leather or felt that you plan to use for this project, you can absolutely make it pretty large, but we're going to use a 12 by 12 sheet. So I need to make it 11.5 because that's the largest that it can cut. Now, as you can see, I didn't grab the moms, so it didn't size correctly. If that happens, just click undo and make sure that you have everything on your screen selected and select 11.5. Now that one is sized perfectly for our faux leather, but I'm also going to show you guys how to do this on felt. So what I'm going to do is select the entire item and I'm going to duplicate it again. But this time I'm going to actually do a little bit different. Let's go ahead and hide this purple background because I'm going to show you how to do this with an offset. It's really fun, really, really easy. So what we'll do is select one of our moms. They're already welded and click offset. Now for this, you do want kind of a large offset. And I typically find that the 0.35 is pretty wide and it works pretty well for this. So we'll go ahead and apply that and we'll change the color again just so it's easier to see. I find that gray to be a little hard to see. So we'll make it blue. There we go. So now that we have this weird center circle. You see this? We don't want that. It's going to hide our photo. It's just not going to look great, but this is a pretty easy way to do it. So what I'm going to do is I like to duplicate the entire design and just move it over. That way if anything happens, you have a separate one that you can work with. So what I'm going to do is select this design down here and I'm going to go to slice and I'm going to slice out the mom. Now what I want to do is find the background, so the portion here that is blue, and I want to go to contour. And you'll see now that you have a couple of circles here in the middle. What I want to do is click out the middle circle and then this circle here. And what you'll see is that that gives us the middle portion that we need. I want to make sure to select the slice results, the two, the mom and the mom. and I want to weld them. What that does is it just puts it back into one piece. Like I said, I always keep this one just in case something happens, and all I have to do is send it to back. Then just duplicate that offset, and you can put it behind this one, and you want to go ahead and send it to the back, and we'll just need to line everything up again. So select your two welded results and align the tops. And then you can kind of move the moms if you need to. You shouldn't really need to. This one needs moved just a teeny smidgen of a bit, but not much. And there you go. Then you'll just do the same thing where you get out the square. Now I am going to need to move this one over a little bit. It's a little too close because that offset is thicker than the other one. So we'll go ahead and move that over. Grab a shape, grab a square, size it down, unlocking it, and size it down, and then stick it here in the center, and then you're going to select that and your two, whoops, not that one. We actually don't need this anymore. Let me delete that so it's out of the way because we got quite a few layers over here because we're doing this twice. So you want to select the two blue pieces and your gray square and weld them. Go ahead and send this to the back so you can see it, and then you'll need to resize it. So again, select both items. Now, we do have a larger piece of felt, so I can leave this one pretty big. So I'm just going to go ahead and leave it like this. But I do want to make sure that all the mom portions that we're using are held together. So I'm going to hide the backgrounds. Just makes it a little bit easier. And I see I have an extra weld result, so I'm just going to delete that. And all I'm going to do is select the two moms here that go together and the two moms here that go together, and you can attach them. Now, because we're using just plain old black HTV, I could cut this on a larger piece if I wanted to. But because these don't actually need to be super lined up, you can line them up individually. You can just leave them like this, but you do want to make sure that the three letters are held together. I hope that wasn't confusing. It can be a little confusing. So I'll show you something really quick. So if I were to attach these and leave these two detached, if I click Make It, you'll see how these two are really close together and I can move them individually, but these two are together and I can't move them individually. Just something to think about. But because they're pretty big and I just want to save space, I'm going to detach. I don't need them to stay attached because it's just going to be simply cut out of HTV. It's not going to be anything too crazy. And because mom is exactly the same backwards and forwards, you don't have to mirror this either. So I'm going to go ahead and bring in our leather and our felt, and we will go ahead and click Make It. Now it will give us the warning about needing the larger mat. This one is going to be cut on our felt, and then this one we're going to cut on our faux leather. We're cutting the moms on the glitter HTV from Caesar. So what I do is I go to Browse All Materials, and I just search glitter, and I find the glitter iron-on setting, and I click Done. Now, if you're using a Cricut Explore Air 2, I highly recommend just keeping it on the custom setting at all times. It will save you so much headache, and you are less likely to forget changing your settings. Now, for mine, I can use default pressure, but some people choose to use more pressure. We're going to use this really gorgeous HTV. This is a Caesar, and I believe this is the black silver. It's really nice, so I thought it would look good on both of the colors that we're going to be using. So what you want to do is put this face down on your mat, so glitter side down, and you can see the difference. See how glittery this side is and this side isn't. So you want to lay this down. I'm just using a short mat for this one, but I have the longer mat right here to use with our our felt, and to use with our faux leather. So what you'll do is load your mat, and you want to make sure that you have both of the little white tabs. You want the mat to go under those. Give a little pressure from the back as you press the load button, and your machine is going to cut this out. So let's go ahead and get this cut. Once it's done cutting the glitter, you can go ahead and unload that, and we'll go ahead and remove that from our mat and slide that behind the machine just to get it out of the way. The next item that we're going to cut is going to be our felt, And we're gonna use this really long mat. So I'm gonna slide everything kind of out of the way here. And we're going to use this pretty, isn't that pretty, this little flower felt? Now this does have a label on the back. It's probably not going to get in the way of our cut, but I'm going to go ahead and take it off anyways, just to be sure. I did get this at Hobby Lobby, so it's pretty fun. And what I'm going to do is show you a couple things. First, I'll show you guys how to load the mat, because I have a couple little tricks that work really well. So if this is pretty loud, I'm sorry. Now, normally I would suggest using a fabric mat, but I don't have a long fabric mat. So what I'm gonna do is I take my felt and I drape it over my machine. I close the bottom drawer and I put my mat under my machine. You can see how I slid it under my machine, and I just have the very end sticking out. And then I'm gonna lay my felt down, and I'm gonna do it face up, because remember we didn't mirror, and we're just gonna make sure that it's well pressed down. Now this is a really sticky mat, so it'll be just fine. I don't use my long mats a ton, so this will work really, really well. Now remember, the next thing that we need to do is to change out our blade. So what I'm gonna do is pop out my fine point blade. I'm gonna set that over here in my little holder, and I have my little tool holder, and I'm going to get out my rotary blade. The rotary blade comes with your Cricut maker. So again, if you're doing this on the Explorer, you can still use your fine point blade, but we're going to use the rotary, and you can see that all you have to do is line up the gold gear, slide it in, and close the cradle, and then switch the cut setting on your computer. Now we're ready to cut the felt. So to change the setting, just click where it says base material set to, and browse all materials. Now I do find that sometimes with the felt, you do need to play around with it and see which cut setting works best for you. For me, the acrylic felt works really, really well. So I'm going to click done, and this is going to require my rotary blade in my maker. You can cut this with your Explorer too with the fine point blade, but you'll need to find the right felt setting. So I do recommend doing some test cuts. Once you've switched your cut setting, you can go ahead and load your mat. Now this one being a little bit long can be a little interesting to try to load, but again, make sure it's under those white tabs. Hit the load button while giving a little pressure from the back, just making sure everything's well stuck down, and we can go ahead and cut this out. Now, before I do anything else, I always want to make sure that it cuts. So what I do is I feel a little bit, and I can find it, and then all I'm going to do is peel back my felt. It looks like it cut beautifully, so we'll go ahead and unload, and then I peel the back of my felt off, so the main piece of felt. Just be gentle, and then I'm going to peel off this portion, which is our background. And I like to save these little circles. They're super fun and super cute, and they're really, like, you can use them for all sorts of stuff. So these are kind of fun. I keep those to the side, and then here is the keychain portion. So now what we're going to do is cut out our faux leather. I'm going to use the same mat just because it's extra sticky, and that way I don't have to worry about it. But you want to make sure that your faux leather is, again, well stuck down. So I give it a nice, good pressing to keep it down on the mat. And again, I don't use the fabric mat for this just because A, I don't have a big long one, and B, I do find that this mat being pretty sticky works. So I'm going to go ahead and load this, and we'll make sure that we change our cut setting over on the computer. Last but not least, we are going to cut out our leather. So I need to change my cut setting again. So let me go ahead and click where it says base material set to, and I'm going to search for the word leather. Now, a lot of people find that they have a really easy time cutting on the faux suede and things like that. So again, definitely do some test cuts. For me, I needed to make a leather paper thin setting that worked best for my cutter. So I did make a custom setting for mine. And again, this is going to use our rotary blade. Now that it's done cutting, I'm going to go ahead and check and see if it cut through. You always want to check with your materials if you can to see if they cut through. This looks like it cut through beautifully. So I'm going to go ahead and unload, close my Cricut real quick, and then I'll go ahead and pull, just like I did with the felt, I'll pull the backing off. Oh yeah, that cut beautifully. That looks really good. And then I will pull off the faux leather. And again, I hang on to these because sometimes these can be really great little embellishments for other things. So it's nice to have those little extra pieces. You don't have to throw them out. You can keep them. But there is the background for faux leather. So the next thing that we need to do is print out our photos. The reason I didn't print them with these is because the print and cut was giving me so much trouble. So I'm going to take you back over to the machine and show you guys how to do that. When I originally cut these, I was having a lot of trouble with print and cut, so we're going to show you the print and cut portion separately, but it's really easy to do. Or you could honestly hand cut your photos if you wanted to, whatever works best for you, but I'm going to show you how to do this using some printable. I'm going to print on cardstock and then overlay a laminate over it so that it is protected. So what we're going to do is find a photo, so you can use anything that you want. So I'm going to click upload image, and I'm going to browse, and I'm going to use a picture of my pets. So I should have something that'll work. I've got little baby photos of my cats, things like that. So I'll just choose a good color, like a bright photo. We'll just use this one. Works perfectly fine. I'm going to upload it as complex and click continue. It is going to be really big, but just click continue. And it may take a second. This is where I was having some problems. It wasn't loading to this page, so it wasn't allowing me to change anything. So we'll go ahead and use this one, select it as the print and cut image, and click upload. Again, because these images are fairly large, this portion does seem to take a few extra seconds. So if it's going a little bit slow, just give it some time because this is a lot of data for Cricut Design Space to handle, and it tends to freak out a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and upload another image because that one has her face pretty big. So what I'm going to do is, again, go to my desktop and my pet photos and see if I can find any other images that might work, that maybe her face is a little bit smaller or somebody else's face is a little smaller in the images. I don't have a ton in here, so I'm just going to have to kind of do what I can with what I have. We can use this one of my cat waffles. That one's pretty good. So we'll just choose complex. And again, you're just going to click continue. And again, it does take a minute, so just give it some time. Select the print and cut image and upload, and just wait a little bit while it loads. Hopefully Cricut Design Space in its updates will be working with this issue a little bit more, making it a little quicker and faster for you guys to work with it. This part does frustrate me a little bit when I try to do things, so I understand your pain. So I'm going to go ahead and select both of these images and click Insert Images. Now again, this is a portion that may take a few moments to load. The pictures are really, really large, so it is hard for Design Space to handle it. They're going to load big, 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 and so what we'll do is change the sizing as soon as we possibly can just to get them down so that we can actually see what they look like. So now that both images have loaded, like I said, they're going to load really big, so I'm just going to size them down to a 5-inch width, and we can resize them from there. So I have two little kitty cat pictures that we're going to use. This one may not work great just because her face is so big in the image, but I'll see what I can do with it. It should be okay. This one will work better for the image, so you do want to kind of keep in mind that whatever size you're using, you're going to want to make sure their face fits really well. So what I'm going to do is open a circle, and I want to size it so that it fits inside the circle for the mom, but you do want it to be a little bit bigger than the circle itself so that you have space to glue around the edges. So that looks like a pretty good size for these. So what I'm going to do is duplicate. So I have two of the circles. I'm going to put it over the face of the animal, and then I'm going to size the image down best I can so that it will fit within the circle and I can get as much of her face in there as possible. Then I'm going to select the circle and her picture and click slice. It's going to take just a second, and then you will have the little circle that goes in the middle. And again, you can do this with your pets, your kids, whatever you want. So I'm going to duplicate this because I'm just going to use the same picture on both sides, but you can absolutely use two different pictures on the different sides. So I'm just going to check this one, make sure it fits. That looks pretty good. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to make her face a little bit bigger, and I think that's probably fine. So select the circle, oops, and if it does that where it wants to move something, because sometimes Design Space will just make up what it wants to do, go ahead and select both images, just hit undo, and you want to select circle and the picture and click slice. And you'll see now that you have the kitty cat that goes in your other frame. And again, you can use your kids, your cats, whatever makes you happy. I'm going to duplicate that one as well so that we can just have 2 of them, make life easier. And because we've already cut everything else, because Cricut Design Space wasn't allowing print and cut when I made this, we're going to go ahead and hide everything by using the little eyeball over on the right hand side in the Layers tab. And now you'll see that you have 4 circles that is going to do the print and cut. All you'll have to do now is click Make It, and you'll see that you have the square with your circles in it. All I'm going to do now is click Continue and click Send to Printer. I only need 1 copy of this, but if you're making a bunch, you can definitely make a ton of copies. I like to leave the bleed on, though in this case, it really doesn't necessarily matter because you're still not going to see the edge of your image. And we're going to use the system dialog. This is going to give you a better print quality than you would normally get if you just clicked print. So if you see the lines in your images, things like that, this is the reason why, because you're not using your print dialog box. So that system dialog. It may take a moment to bring up your printer settings, but when it does, it's going to bring it up in this little side. So make sure you have the correct printer set, which for this one is my 2720. Click Preferences, and the first thing that I do is change the quality under paper type to high. And then I go over to More Options, and my printer has a high speed option right here. So what I'm going to do is turn off the high speed option. That tends to leave the lines within the printer. Make sure that you have your, correct printer set. You also make sure you have your material in your printer that you want to print on, and click Print. I've printed everything out for our Cricut to cut. Again, I could just hand cut this, but I'll show you guys how to do the print and cut. So I have some UV laminate. Now this is definitely not required. You could use some clear vinyl if you wanted to. Heck, you could use packing tape. But basically you just want to protect the design. So most people tell you not to put the laminate over the lines, but I do it all the time and it's fine. But I'll try not to for this one. But honestly, if you have your machine set up well, it shouldn't matter. And it should cut just fine, regardless of the lines being covered with the laminate or not. It's a matter of just kind of playing around with your machine and figuring out what it likes, because print and cut can be pretty finicky. So just keep that in mind. So that looks pretty good. I mean, it might cover the line a little, but it'll be fine. Now what I need to do is cover my stickers with the laminate. So I'm going to go ahead and peel my laminate back. And I start with just a little corner of it. And I kind of peel across the top. And then I lay it down. I flatten this part, like you see how I folded it? I folded that flat. And then I lay it down across the top. And then I get a squeegee, and this does help to kind of keep it from getting any bubbles in it or anything like that. And then we just run it down the laminate. Easy peasy. We got a little bubble down here. That's okay. No big deal. Just press it out. And this will just help keep these nice and neat looking and clean when you put them into your keychain. It's just a nice way to keep them neat. So I'm going to use a standard grip mat. Now mine is not super sticky at the top corner anymore, so I like to use the bottom corner. And you want to make sure you get these pretty straight as you can across. And again, this is just on cardstock. I just used a medium kind of cardstock, but I am going to cut this on the poster board setting because with the laminate on top, it's really thick. I also need to make sure that I change out my rotary blade, so I'm going to go ahead and use my fine point blade and change that out. Ready, go ahead and hit the logo button and let it cut. But what it's going to do is it's going to turn on a little light here in the middle. And I'll go ahead and turn this light off so you guys can see it better. But do you see the light down here in between the cradle? That is reading your sensor marks on your print and cut. So what it's going to do is it's going to read the tops and the side and the bottom. And it'll read it a couple of times in a couple different spots so that it makes sure that it's lined up. Now, like I said, I will tell you that Cricut Design Space Print and Cut is not always amazing at lining things up. That's why the bleed option exists. But it may just take you a couple tries to get it right if you've never done print and cut before. But it's pretty simple. So once it's done scanning, it'll go over, and for the maker, it checks the tool to make sure you have the right tool in. And then what it's going to do is cut out our circles. And since these are just circles, it'll cut really quickly. I'll go ahead and turn the overhead light back on for you guys so you can see this better. Just like I did with the felt and the leather, I'm going to just make sure that it cut through. It should on poster board because it's a pretty deep setting, but I just like to double check. It cut through beautifully, so go ahead and unload. And we'll take our paper off. For this one, I'm going to flip it over and I'm going to remove these from the mat like this so that they don't bend. They are pretty stiff with the laminate on, so that's a nice thing to have. That laminate really makes a big difference. Once you've got everything weeded out, it's time to press your HTV. And I thought about something and how fun this would be. So I took the centers out of the O's and they're going to fit perfectly on the back of these. So you could line them up and press them. And then maybe on this side you could put like mom's monogram and like attach it to your keychain. So I thought that would be really fun. So we're going to do that. But what you'll need is a piece of parchment paper. I have some butcher paper here, which will work as well. And then you need your keychains. And I'm going to use my little Cricut mini press. This thing is super handy. So what I'm going to do is grab one of my mom words and I'm going to line it up onto my, this is my faux leather. So I'm just going to get it lined up. Looks pretty good where it's at. Put my butcher paper over top and then I'm going to press with my easy press, and I do have a pressing pillow under this, again, to protect my surface and to make sure that I'm going to get a nice even pressure. And you do want to give it a pretty good pressure. You'll see a lot of people with these mini presses move them around like an iron. You do not want to do that because you could shift your HTV and cause quite a bit of damage. So I don't recommend doing that. It is not a good idea to go at it like, I'm not on my surface, so you don't want to go at it like this. You don't want to do that. You want to press in a firm pressure without moving your iron, your little mini press, and just kind of press all around your design. Now, because I'm using faux leather, I didn't press for really long in each spot because I didn't want to damage the faux leather, because occasionally you can, depending on the surface. But I can see it didn't stick yet, which is fine. No big deal. I just needed to make sure that it still was lined up well, which it is. So I'm going to go ahead. And you can use parchment paper or a Teflon sheet, but I do recommend some sort of surface between your HTV and your mini press. So I'm going to get this one pressed, and you can see I'm moving it, but I am lifting it when I do that. I don't lift it really far. I just lift it and then kind of slide it. So I don't move it while I'm pressing. So I'm going to go ahead and finish pressing these. I'll press everything real quick, let you guys watch me do that, and then we will get the pictures on. It's going to be really, really fun and really, really cute. While we're waiting for the hot milk glue gun to heat up, we can put our little rings on. So I just used my scissors, which probably isn't the safest, but I just kind of pop it open a little bit so that I can slide the fabric in. And once it's in, you can move the scissors so you don't cut yourself. But you just want to get the fabric kind of between the rings, and then you can just slide your fabric around just like you would any other kind of keychain that you use. And perfectly, your keychain is there. So you'll want to do that for both of your items here. So you want to do it for both the faux leather and the felt. So again, I'm real bad at this. So I put my scissors in here. And again, I know it's not safe. You can use all sorts of stuff. These are what's sitting next to me. But I just sort of open the little ring here and then just carefully slide the ring around. And that's how you can easily get this in there before you make your keychain. I like to do it before I make my keychain. That way it's in. I'm not worried about it getting damaged or anything like that when I'm trying to kind of pull the ring through. But you definitely want to pull a ring through here because then you'll have a way to hang your keychain. So right now we're just waiting for the hot melt glue gun to heat up. It should actually be good. It's good. It's squeezing. So what we want to do is we'll take our little kitty cat. So we've got my little Magnolia here, and I'm going to put her, I think, in the flower one since her name is Magnolia. And all I'm going to do is take some hot glue, and you don't need a lot, just a little bit will do. And you just want to kind of run a really thin bead around the edge. Now I'm using a Ryobi cordless glue gun, and I love my cordless glue gun, but they're supposed to be coming out with a new one that is going to actually have like a fine tip on it, which I'm so excited for. So I will be getting that one very soon. But all I do is just run some glue along the circle, and then you can put, like I said, 2 different pictures in here, 1 picture, whatever you want. And you just want to make sure that it's facing the right way. So I got those ones. Like I said, her face was going to be a little big in these, so you can see we just have like kitty cat face, but that's okay. And then we'll do waffles over in this one. And so again, just the little like bead of glue. I like the hot melt glue for this, but there's lots of other glue you can use if you have a favorite glue. Just make sure that it's a good quality permanent glue and that it will bond to whatever you've made your keychain out of. So if you've used faux leather, if you've used cardstock, whatever you want to make your keychain out of, you can definitely do that. You just want to make sure that the glue you use is going to be good for that. And I did get a little glue on the outside of this one, so I'm going to slide it over a little bit. Oh dear, we've lost Waffles. She has taken off. I don't think I put quite enough glue on that one, so I'll have to go back to that. I think the glue wasn't quite hot, so I'll go back to that one. Again, sometimes you just gotta kind of mess with it. Like these ones are stuck pretty good. This one doesn't seem like it wants to work real great with the faux leather, so we're gonna put a lot more glue on and we'll go from there because apparently the faux leather is drying the glue quickly. So what we'll do is go ahead and we put a little bit more glue on there and we should be good to go now. I just don't think I put enough the first time, so that's okay. We'll just put more glue, no biggie, and we'll just make sure she's facing about the right way and down. Yeah, I think it just needed a little more glue. That's okay, that happens from time to time. I just didn't put quite enough on. So we're still gonna need our hot melt glue gun, but again, you can use any glue that you like. So what you're going to do is line up your keychain and so that it matches up front to back. Now, like I said, this one is a little bit big, but it's going to depend on what you want it to look like. You can do them a little bit bigger if that's the style that you're going for. So what I do is I just get everything really well lined up. I want to make sure everything looks even and straight. That's why we did a lot of duplication for this, because we wanted to make sure that everything looked neat and clean. So now I like to start over here at the M and I go all along the edge. And I do put some glue in the middle. And for this I do use a little bit more glue than I did when I put the picture on. You want to make sure this part is well stuck down. But again, you can use whatever glue you like that will work with whatever product you're using. So I'm going to go ahead and press that down. Make sure that's well pressed, and then we can move on to the rest of our design. Now I do see this part didn't glue down very well, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little bit of glue just here along her little picture, and I'm going to put quite a bit of glue just along where the edges of the picture are, just to be sure that everything held down. Again, I just didn't want to put too much, but I probably should put a little bit more glue there. So then again, we'll just press. Make sure everything's lined up. If it gets a little off center, just kind of move it while the glue is still warm. It just got a little off center there at the end, and voila, keychain. Now if you have a little gap here where your O is, I do recommend just taking the tip of your glue gun and just kind of dabbing some glue in there just to make sure that that's going to stay closed as well. But again, just use whatever glue works for you. It doesn't have to be hot melt glue. I'm a hot melt glue fan. And then I'm going to do the bottom as well just to be sure that our photo is going to stay in there nice and neat. So I just put a little bit of glue in there and I press. So we'll do the faux leather one next. Looks like our picture's held this time, so that's good. Like I said, it just wasn't enough glue. No big deal, easy fix. I'm gonna go ahead and pull that keychain out of the way. And we will get this all lined up. All right, that looks pretty good. That looks pretty lined up. Okay, so again, all I'm gonna do is hot melt glue. Hot melt glue. And like I said, I do use quite a bit. I want to make sure that it holds. But again, you can use whatever glue. If you have a better glue that you like, one that maybe works really great with your faux leather or your felt, please let me know what kind of glue you like. I'm always looking for glue suggestions because I struggle with glue. All right, once that piece is down, we'll go ahead and fold this back a little bit. And this one I'm going to put some glue on the back of the photo as well, just to hold it down, because there's not a lot of edge around the O's for this one, because this one was a little bit tighter on the picture, but that's okay. And then we'll just put some glue over here. Make sure you get that corner. And then all I'm going to do is gently lay it down, make sure everything looks like it's pretty well lined up. And I'm just going to press. Now this one did slide just a hair, so we're just going to slide it. And that looks pretty good. And it is hot, so just be aware of that. So we'll just make sure that we got everything pressed down. Everything looks good. And we're going to leave these to the side to cool for just a few minutes because they are pretty warm. This one is cool already. I added a few little embellishments to our finished keychains, including the little circles. I did a monogram on one and then established 2018 on the other. This was such a fun project, and I really hope that you guys are inspired to make some really special gifts for mom, for dad, for grads, just about anybody. You could do grandma as well. Lots of fun words that you could use for this, and just add a little picture in there of somebody's child or their pet or something that they really, really love. If you guys make these, please tag me. I would love to see them. You can tag me on Facebook and on Instagram. I would absolutely love, love, love to see how creative you guys are with these. If you have any questions, please let me know in those comments down below. I'm always happy to answer those for you. I hope you guys had a wonderful time with this fun mom photo keychain. I hope you all have a wonderful day and happy crafting.